At my sister-in-law's wedding, my husband, Marcus, called me his biggest mistake in front of everyone. Little did he know, I was already preparing a plan that would change everything. What he didn't see coming left him speechless. The moment his words hit the air, I froze. The room went silent, the murmurs of the guests died down, replaced by an awkward stillness. Marcus's voice, usually so confident, now felt like a betrayal hanging in the air. He laughed it off as if it were a joke, but I could see the gleam in his eyes, the satisfaction, the arrogance. And me? I was sitting there, at the back of the room, like a ghost in a space that should have been mine, his wife, the most important guest. Instead, I was invisible, swallowed by the glittering crowd, my smile barely holding the weight of the sting in my chest. I was supposed to feel proud, to feel special. But instead, all I felt was isolated, alone. The worst part? I knew it wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just a slip-up or a poorly chosen word. This was intentional. This was him telling everyone in the room, in the world, that I was nothing, that I didn't matter. I could feel the eyes on me, waiting for some kind of reaction. They were probably hoping I'd stand up, shout, make a scene. But I didn't. I stayed still as a statue, gripping my glass of champagne so tightly my fingers turned white. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me crack. Not here, not in front of all these people. I looked at Marcus as he turned his attention back to his sister, the bride. He didn't even spare me a glance after he had made his cruel comment. He was already moving on, while I was left with the cold realization that I had been living in a lie. How long had I been a fool? How many late nights had I spent wondering where he was, why he was distant, why everything felt like it was slipping away? I had never been good at confronting him, always too scared to ask the hard questions, always too unsure of my own worth to demand the respect I deserved. But now I wasn't afraid anymore. I remembered the beginning, when we first met, how Marcus promised me the world. He told me I was his everything, his partner, his equal. I had believed him, I had trusted him, but looking at him now laughing with his family, it hit me. He had stopped seeing me years ago, and I had let him. I could feel the heat rising inside me, an anger I hadn't allowed myself to feel. I had spent too long in silence, too long being the passive wife. But that was over. I stood up from my seat, feigning illness. I didn't need to explain myself to anyone. I left the room without another word, stepping out into the night air, my heart pounding in my chest. The cool breeze was a sharp contrast to the fury simmering inside me. I pulled out my phone, my fingers steady as I dialed the number of my closest confidant. "I'm done," I whispered, the words slipping out of me before I could stop them. "You don't have to take this anymore," she said, her voice full of reassurance. "You've got the power now, take control." I nodded. Even though she couldn't see me for the first time in years, I wasn't just reacting to Marcus's cruelty. I was making a choice. I wasn't going to be the passive wife anymore. I was going to take everything back. The plan was already forming in my mind, and it was more than just revenge. It was about reclaiming myself, my power, my life. What Marcus didn't know, this was just the beginning. It's been 3 days since the wedding. 3 days of silence. 3 days of me sitting in this house, pretending to be the same woman Marcus used to know, the one who smiled and forgave, who overlooked all his little lies. But not anymore. The woman who sat at that wedding, who let the sting of his words sear through her, is gone. I'm not her anymore. The silence in the house is deafening, but it's exactly what I need. I can hear my own thoughts now, free from the chaos of his charm and the sound of his footsteps, coming through the door late at night. I've been doing nothing but thinking and planning. The pieces are starting to fall into place, and I'm the one holding the puzzle together. The first step was the business, his business. Marcus always saw me as nothing more than a wife, someone to sit by his side and smile for the cameras. He never thought I'd be interested in the details of his work, his empire. But I have a mind for it, a sharp mind, one he underestimated. I spend hours in the study, sorting through files, emails, bank statements. It wasn't hard to find discrepancies. He was sloppy. Money moving between accounts, investments that didn't add up, shady deals that had been pushed through without a second glance. This wasn't just neglect, it was a pattern. A web of deceit that had been building for months, and I had the proof now. I remembered when we first discussed our dreams, sitting across from each other in a cozy little cafe. He promised me then that we'd always be a team, that we'd conquer the world together, hand in hand. I'll always protect you. You're my partner in everything. Those words, once so comforting, now feel like a cruel joke. But I'm no longer the naive woman who believed in fairy tale endings. Now I see the truth. The empire he built wasn't just for us. It was for him, for his own ego, and for the things he never told me about. I pick up the phone and dial my closest confidant, the one person who knows me best, who has always believed in me even when I doubted myself. Natalie is a business partner I've worked with for years, and she sees through the facade that Marcus has built. She admires my intelligence, my ability to see patterns when others miss them. She's always had my back, but now, I need her more than ever. "What's going on?" she asks when she picks up, her voice steady. "You've been distant." "I'm done being the passive wife," I say, the words coming out with more conviction than I expected. "I have a plan." And just like that, the first part of my plan begins. I begin quietly contacting the vendors I helped Marcus arrange for his sister's wedding. Each conversation is calm, professional. I don't let on that anything is wrong. I tell them that I'm just a part of the event coordination team, and that there have been some last-minute changes. The wedding, the one Marcus worked so hard to organize, is about to fall apart. Later that week, I meet with one of Marcus's business partners, Michael. I've known him for years and he's always played the part of the loyal friend. But I've seen the cracks in his loyalty to Marcus. He's nervous, hesitant to confront him directly, but I know how to plant the right seeds. I keep my voice soft, my words sweet, just the right amount of doubt to get him questioning Marcus's choices. By the end of our meeting, I know that Michael is already second-guessing his partnership with Marcus. It's not just the business deals I'm attacking, it's everything. Marcus's control, his image, his carefully crafted empire. He doesn't know it yet, but it's all slipping away. And Marcus? He can sense the shift. He's been noticing the distance between us, the coldness. He's been trying to pull me back, to coax me into the wife I used to be. But it's not working. I'm too far gone now. The more he tries to close the gap, the more I pull away. I see it in his eyes, the irritation, the confusion. He doesn't know what's happening, but I do. I take the final step. I set up an emergency meeting with a private investigator. It's time to confirm what I already know, the affair he's been hiding from me for months. It's not just a fling, it's a calculated betrayal, a web of lies and deceit that I'm finally unraveling. The first layer of my plan is complete. The wedding, the one Marcus worked so hard to perfect, will be disrupted. The deals he's been so proud of will begin to crumble, and the life he's built on lies will start to fall apart. I look at the calendar on my phone. The countdown to the wedding is ticking down, but my revenge has already begun. I used to be the one he took for granted. Now, I'm the one in control. He doesn't realize it yet, but he's about to. As the wedding day approaches, I feel the tension in the air, but not the kind I'm used to. Not the nerves and excitement of a bride and groom, but the kind that comes from watching everything you've carefully planned come to fruition. Marcus thinks he has everything under control. He thinks the wedding is the final piece of his perfect life. But what he doesn't realize is that the ground beneath him is crumbling, and I'm the one pulling the strings. I've called in every favor I've accumulated over the years. It's funny how many people owe you favors when you've been the good wife, the dutiful partner, the one who always supported him. No one ever knew that I was the one who helped build his empire. All the late-night phone calls, the decisions I made for the business while he sat at the bar with his friends, pretending to be the man everyone thought he was. I did it all. But not anymore. I'm unraveling everything, piece by piece, just like I promised myself I would. It's not just about the wedding anymore, it's about taking back everything he ever took for granted. The more I dig into his business, the more I see how much of it is built on lies, on shaky deals, and on manipulating everyone around him. I start calling in debts and setting up the dominoes to fall, knowing that once the first one tips, the whole empire will come down. Marcus is starting to notice. He's not blind to his company's sudden dip in profits, the discrepancies he can't explain. He's been checking accounts, calling in favors, and everything is starting to feel off. He's frustrated, on edge, and every time he asks me about it, I act like I'm just as clueless. But I know exactly what's going on. It's all falling apart, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. Flashback. I remember when Marcus first started his business, and I was there with him, believing in the dream he sold me. I helped him build it from the ground up. We built it. He had the charm, the drive. But I had the brains. I was the one who made things happen, and I never asked for anything in return. I supported him, sacrificed my own dreams for his because I thought we were partners. But somewhere along the way, he stopped seeing me as a partner and started seeing me as an asset, a tool to help him get ahead. But I'm not his asset anymore. One day, I find the legal loophole in our marriage agreement that I've been looking for. It's a little detail hidden deep in the fine print, something Marcus never thought to check because he trusted me to be the obedient wife. But now, that clause will ensure that I walk away with a substantial portion of his assets once I initiate the divorce. He won't know what hit him. I'll take everything he's worked for and he won't have the power to stop me. I start working the family, gently planting seeds of doubt about Marcus's character. A casual mention here, a whispered word there. I talk about his late nights at the office, the way his business dealings never seemed quite right. It's subtle, but enough. They start to wonder. The whispers begin. Marcus, of course, doesn't have a clue. He just feels the paranoia creeping in. He's been trying to regain control, scrambling to fix what he doesn't even know is broken. But he can't see what I'm doing. He thinks it's business as usual. He doesn't know that I've already orchestrated the collapse of his professional world. Then, the message comes through. From the wedding planner. The wedding venue is officially canceled. Catering, floral arrangements, the photographer, all pulled. The list of services he's been so proud of, so sure of, is vanishing, piece by piece. And Marcus still doesn't know. I smile to myself as I confirm the details. His world is about to implode. As I sit in my office, watching the messages flood in, I look back at everything. The years I spent supporting him. The times I let him think I was just there to cheer him on. The times I looked the other way when he took what wasn't his. I can hardly recognize the woman I used to be. The one who sat quietly, waiting for a man who never showed up for her. But I'm not that woman anymore. I check my phone one last time. The final confirmations are in. The wedding is going to be a disaster, but it's only the beginning. The financial deals he worked so hard to build will start to collapse. His business partners are already getting nervous. The empire he spent years building will turn to dust before his eyes. And Marcus? He'll never see it coming. The day of the wedding. It should have been a moment of joy, a family coming together, celebrating the future. But for me, it's just the beginning of the storm I've set in motion, the calm before the chaos. Everything I've planned for, everything I've worked toward, is about to come crashing down. I stand on the outskirts of the ceremony, watching Marcus as he laughs, smiles, and stands beside his sister, playing the perfect role in front of their guests. He has no idea what's about to hit him. I can feel it in the air, the tension thickening as the first cracks in his perfect world begin to show. At first, everything looks normal. The guests are mingling, the music playing softly in the background. But underneath the facade, I know what's happening. The vendors are scrambling, the wedding planners are making frantic calls. The venue, canceled. The caterers, gone. The photographer, nowhere to be found. His world, the empire he built on manipulation and lies, is starting to shatter in front of him. I watch from a distance, an almost detached calmness settling over me. I'm not here to enjoy the show. I'm here for the destruction. I've been waiting for this. Flashback. I remember when we first got married. I thought we had it all. We were partners. At least, I believed we were. I thought love would carry us through the rough patches, that we'd work together to build something lasting. But somewhere along the way, I lost myself. I let him take everything, my time, my energy, my love, and never once did I ask for anything in return. I gave him the world. And what did he give me in return? Lies, coldness, betrayal. Marcus's face shifts from the smile he wore just minutes ago to something darker. His phone starts ringing incessantly, and I can see the panic building in his eyes. He's trying to salvage the event, but it's already too late. The wedding, the celebration he worked so hard for, is falling apart in real time. And as I stand here, watching the unraveling, I can't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Justice, I tell myself. This is justice. This is what he deserves. This is the payback for every little thing he's done to me, for every tear I've shed, every night I've spent alone in our bed, waiting for a man who never cared. I pull my phone out and send a quick message to my attorney. The divorce papers are being filed today. As the chaos unfolds around me, I'm making sure my own future is secured. I've spent too long being the one left behind. It's time I take control of my own life. It's time to take everything from him. The wedding planners call him again, and I can hear his voice rise in frustration as they tell him what I already know. The venue is gone, the food is canceled, and everything he had meticulously organized is now out of his reach. He's scrambling, he's furious, but most of all, he's afraid. And that's when I know it's working. He looks around the room, eyes searching for answers, for something to grab onto. His perfect day is falling apart, and I'm just standing there watching it unfold. Finally, he turns toward me, his face twisted in anger. "What did you do?" he demands, his voice low, seething with frustration. But I'm not afraid. Not anymore. I look him straight in the eyes, my voice calm, collected. "You made your own bed, Marcus. Now lie in it." The words are barely out of my mouth before the first of many calls come through. The financial collapse I've orchestrated is starting to gain momentum. The deals he thought were rock solid are crumbling. I can see it in his eyes, the panic, the realization that nothing he has is safe anymore. His business, his reputation, his entire empire are slipping through his fingers. I don't say anything else. There's nothing left to say. He's lost control. The calm I feel is almost peaceful, a quiet satisfaction that comes from watching the chaos I've caused unfold, knowing that I've taken everything from him, just like he took everything from me. The guests are starting to murmur, confusion filling the air. The bride, clueless to everything that's happening behind the scenes, looks around in bewilderment. But it doesn't matter anymore. I turn and walk away from the chaos. I don't need to see him struggle. I don't need to watch the destruction up close. The work is done. As I step out into the cool night, my phone buzzes one last time. The divorce papers are officially filed. Everything I've ever wanted, my freedom, my peace, my future, is now within reach. I've waited for this moment, and now Marcus will see exactly what it means to cross me. The fallout from the wedding disaster didn't stop with the collapse of the event itself. It rippled outward, tearing through Marcus's life like a wildfire. The empire he had spent years building, the business, the respect he thought he commanded, all crumbled, piece by piece. I watched it unfold from a distance. The way his colleagues began to back away, the whispers growing louder, the panic settling in. His investors withdrew. His family turned their backs. Everything he had worked for, everything he had thought was untouchable, was slipping through his fingers. But none of it mattered to me anymore. I no longer cared about the destruction I had set in motion. The revenge was never about watching him fall. It was about reclaiming my own life. The pain he had caused me, the betrayal I had lived with for so long, was now in the past. The flames of his empire burning to the ground no longer fueled my anger. They just reminded me of how much he had taken from me, and how much I had taken back. I remembered when we first started this journey together, when I thought we were partners in every sense of the word, when I thought we'd be unstoppable, that the world was ours for the taking. I gave him everything. I was his support, his strength, his constant, but he never gave me the same. Somewhere along the way, I lost myself in him, in the idea of what we could be, in the illusion that love was enough to hold everything together. But love wasn't enough. It wasn't even close. I met with my lawyer a few days later to finalize the divorce agreement. My life had already begun to take shape, the weight of betrayal lifting with every passing day. I had ensured my financial security, leaving no room for Marcus to manipulate the terms. I didn't need his money, but I would take what was mine. I could feel Marcus's presence, even from a distance. He tried to reach out, to apologize, to fix what was long broken, but it was too late. The damage was irreversible. He thought the apology would be enough, but I had already moved on. The phone calls, the messages, the attempts to reach me. I ignored every one of them. I had nothing left to say to him, nothing that could heal the wounds he had caused. And then, one night, I saw it. The moment when everything fully crumbled. I watched him standing in his office, his shoulders slumped in defeat, his eyes hollow. I saw the man who used to be my partner, my love, now reduced to a shadow of himself. His empire had fallen apart, but so had he. The man I had once believed in was now a stranger. He tried to speak to me one last time. He came to me, his voice low, pleading. "I never meant to hurt you," he said, his words shaking, his vulnerability in the face of his failure almost unrecognizable. I looked at him, my heart no longer breaking, no longer twisted with resentment. I was calm, resolute. "You broke me," I said quietly, my voice steady. "But you never truly knew what you were breaking." His face paled, his lips trembling as if he were searching for the right words. But there were no more words left to say. The damage was done, and now it was time for me to walk away. I walked away from the life I once shared with him, the life that had been built on lies, manipulation, and betrayal. It wasn't the man I had married that I was walking away from. It was the illusion of who he was. The divorce was finalized soon after, the papers signed, the last tie severed. I walked out of his life, my head held high. He no longer had the power to define me, to make me feel small. I was free. I stood on my own now, stronger than I had ever been. My life was mine to live, not controlled by the whims of someone who had never cared for me the way I deserved. The ashes of the life I once knew were scattered behind me, but in their place was something new. A future I could shape on my own terms. And as I walked away, the weight that had once crushed me was gone. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. Truly living.